Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our June 18th council meeting. Please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mr. Oja?
Here.
Mr. Meneghini?
Here.
Dr. Hayes?
Here.
Mr. Gottstein?
Here.
Mr. Babalani?
Here.
We need approval of the minutes of regular meeting of June 4th and special meeting of June 12th. Any additions or corrections?
I'll make a motion we approve the minutes of regular meeting of June 4th, 2012, and the special meeting of June 12th, 2012.
Support.
Motion made by Lee, supported by Dr. Hayes. Roll call.
Mr. Meneghini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes. Approval manifest 2012-12 in the amount of $288,180.54. Mark, any questions?
I got one here, I guess, I had some concerns about the office furniture, but I know Ray covered that. On page 6, WJNR Frog Country, a dining ad for $91, May 2012, dining ad.
That was out of the golf fund?
Oh, okay, that's for the
That's
fish
for
fry?
Yeah, that's for the golf. We split ads with them for golfing and dining.
Okay, that's all I got.
Any, Chris?
Page 6, in the electric, there was a $1,200 charge for adjusting the hydro wicket gates. Wasn't that done last time by Kaiser?
What it has here is the, Kaiser did the actual physical adjustment down in the pit of the labor to get that done. That was on unit number 3.
Oh, okay.
And this was on unit number 4. We were having a problem with the wicket gates not opening all the way. There's an electronic it's called a Wanflu card. That's a brand name, Wanflu. But what it is a speed card, and you program in how far you want the gates to open, how far they will close, and it'll program in how fast they operate to hold the frequency of the electricity. And for reasons that I don't know yet, that card was messed up. It was working fine, and it broke. You have to have a computer program to adjust that card. I did not have that program in my computer, nor did I have the knowledge of how to adjust that card. So I called in the people that supplied that, and they came in, and that's what that charge is. For 1 day of labor to come from Wausau, spend time at the hydro, adjust the card.
That's all I had, Jeremy.
Dr. Hayes?
You know, is there any guarantee on that work or on the card or?
Yeah, it's a 1 year, and it had been almost 2.5 years since that's been done. But yes, if there's a problem, and let's say they just came and they did some adjustments and wasn't right, I would not pay it and ask them to come back and adjust it and increase the cost.
Lee?
A couple little things, more curiosity than anything here. Page 2, Dickinson County Healthcare Employee Hearing Test, OSHA required. Is that for just for one person, or is that for the whole crew under the general fund?
I'm not sure which employees that would involve. Joe, do you know?
Well,
It's under the general
yeah,
fund, Joe.
what we had Lisa do, every department should have had some of those on here. And I was just looking real quick to see if I could pick up a few more.
Well, there's another one on,
Yeah, every department should have them, and that is for the number of employees in that department that got their hearing tested.
oh, okay, so it would vary then, because I see
Yeah.
under electric, it's like $40 more.
Yes.
So it's for everybody
Six
that
there,
needs it.
3 at the wastewater, and would be 7 at the DPW.
We have to do baseline tests.
Yeah, okay. And then On the first page, Sparkle Cleaning there, I know we've got a contract with them. When was the last time that we've asked for bids on that? I believe we did last year. I don't remember really for sure, but I thought we had.
Yeah, we bumped them. Trish, when was the last time we bumped them on
I want
pricing?
to say it was a year ago,
Yeah.
and
Okay, and then one other item on page 5, Federal Express, LG, I assume that means large package overnight shipping expense, $151. What did we need so bad? Or had to be shipped overnight?
Is that in the electric?
Yes.
That is the shipping for a digital generator exciter that needed repair to go back into the hydro.
And I'm assuming they needed it immediately then? Okay, that's all I have then. I think I had one more. Yeah, that's it.
And I don't have anything. So with that, we're looking for a motion to approve.
I make a motion, we approve Manifest 2012-12 in the amount of $288,180.54.
Second.
Motion made by Mark, supported by Chris. Roll call.
Dr. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Gotstein,
Yes.
Mr. Babalani,
Yes.
Mr. Oja,
Yes.
Mr. Menegini.
Yes.
Okay, does anyone from the public wish to get up and address the board on minutes of the manifest? If not, there'll be a further comment for public to comment at the end of the meeting. Okay, in communications this evening, we have 6 things. The first 4 are the budget items that were tabled from the last meeting. In going through, we had another budget hearing since the last meeting. In going through that budget hearing, I'm going to go through the resolutions and just kind of go through just the highlights of each, and then we'll go into them one at a time. But for the rates and utilities, the electric rate will be going up enough to cover the, what was that again?
The wholesale power.
No.
Energy
The
optimization.
energy optimization.
Oh, the energy
So
ops.
it's a small amount to cover that. That's a pass-through cost. Thank you. It's a pass-through cost that the state is charging us. We're just passing it through. The other one, out of the part, the electric rate will also be going up an additional 2% to cover wholesale power costs. That part was a split decision by the council, but it will be moving forward. The other change that we had in there was the water and sewer rates that were going to be raised in the township will not be now. They'll be staying the same. And no other rates or service fees or any other fees will be going up this year, just the electric. And the next resolution, it's the City of Norway pay rates for non-union employees. There was a 3% pay raise per the contracts with the assessor, manager, and utility superintendent. But the manager did take a 25% reduction in his car allowance too, just because of the difficult economic times. The General Appropriations Act, the tax rates will not be going up this year by the city operating. There will be a small increase in tax rates for the voter-approved road millage that went into, but that was a voter-approved item. That's nothing that the city passed. Your city tax rates will be staying the same. And then the last part is the budgets, which we have gone through extensively. Mr. Anderson, anything else to add?
No, I don't have anything else. Can field questions at this time, if there's any.
Anybody have any questions? Comments? Overall, and then we'll go, if you got other comments specifically when we get to that resolution, feel free. Okay, Resolution 2012-14. The City of Norway General Utilities and Service Rates. Any questions, comments on that? If not, we're looking for a motion.
The only comment that I have is I'm against the electric rate increase, not the pass-through one, but the actual rate increase.
I agree with you, Mark, on that. I was against that other one. That was the split item. The pass-through one, I think everybody agreed we had to do. And if there's any other comments? Or if not, we can...
I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution 2012-15, 12-14, City of Norway General Utility and Service Rates.
Support.
Motion made by Lee, supported by Dr. Hayes. Roll call.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
No.
Mr. Oja?
No.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Next on the resolution 2012-15, the City of Norway pay rates for non-union employees. Any questions, comments? Otherwise, we're looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion we approve Resolution 2012-15.
Support.
Motion made by Dr. Hayes, supported by Lee. Roll call.
Mr. Babalani?
No.
Mr. Oja?
No.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Resolution 2012-16, the General Appropriations Act for the taxes to be collected. Looking for questions, comments, or a motion.
I'll make a motion we approve Resolution 2012-16, General Appropriations Act.
Support.
Motion made by Chris, supported by Lee. Roll call.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
And finally, Resolution 2012-17, operating and capital improvement budgets. Questions, comments, or looking for a motion? I'll make a motion, we approve Resolution 2012-17.
Second.
Motion made by myself, seconded by Chris. Roll call.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes. Okay, last two items on the agenda for this evening. The first one is the Sturgeon Falls Hydroelectric Facility vertical house roof replacement. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an item that has been in the budget for a couple of years, and we felt that the leakage on the vertical house roof needed to be addressed here this month. It is a flat roof, and we did look at options, and I can turn this over to Joe because he did the investigation on looking at the possible pitch roof versus the flat roof. I believe it was designed as a flat roof because they would remove the roof in order that they could take equipment in and out of the building. However, we have been successful in the past with moving equipment in and out without touching that roof. But we do have $11,000, well, actually we have $15,000 in the budget, and the particular best price that we got for the flat roof was $9,400, $9,468. Go ahead, Joe, why don't you go ahead and discuss those conversations we've had concerning adding frame and pitch.
Okay. I had called 3 contractors and talked to them, had them come out and look at the site and discuss the options of a pitched roof versus just replacing the original rubber roof. The first one I met with was Lake State Roofing, and through that conversation, he said there was a little more work that would need to be involved in tearing that rubber off. It's a steel decking underneath, and then you'd have to pull the flat trim off the top, metal, and put some 2x6s down and anchor them in, and they felt that it would be better off just replacing the rubber roof. It would be less expensive in the long run. They felt, Lake State thought it was about a 2-day job for them to put a rubber roof on. So I told them to give me a bid for a rubber roof. I also had then Markel come out and asked him the same thing, and I got the exact same answer without, telling him what the other person told me. From him, that he felt that putting the trusses up and actually making a shingled roof would be more expensive. Markel felt they could get it done in about a day and 3/4 to 2 days also. And then I contacted Camberg Construction, and they didn't want to do the work out there because of the OSHA requirements and how it's situated over the water and stuff. They're just not prepared to do that type of work. And they had done rubber roofs in the past in the area, so he was really the only one that I knew of that had done rubber roofing.
How about Oakler? Oakler Roofing,
Oakler? Okay, I wasn't familiar.
because they're
with
one of the
Oakler.
biggest roofing in this area.
Okay, well, I failed to contact Oakler, I didn't know that. So if you feel that, this is, if you feel the price is not a good price, then I guess I would contact Oakler and have them come and look at it also.
Did anybody look at a slight pitched metal roof?
No, I didn't say slight, I didn't ask them for a slight pitched metal roof. Markel had put the original roof on in 1985 on the building. It was a 15-year life. We put a ladder up, we went up on the roof, I was up there with him. The rubber is splitting, and he felt that with the products today from 1985, he would guarantee a 20-year roof, labor and material, and for the cost of $9,468. So I felt confident that I could bring it to you, and like I said, if you think I should go in another direction, just let me know, and I can get other options to throw out there.
Well, I like the idea of the 20-year warranty, and Markel is a good company, and it seems like a good price, but I don't think it would hurt to get like Councilman Babalani said, check with Oakler.
Yep, and I
You
can
know,
do
maybe
that.
Oakler specializes, they make all their own metal
Okay,
for the roofing, and I would like to see us, whatever he recommends pitch-wise, but not with a truss, just an angled pitch, like maybe down towards the water, so the ice would
Okay.
run and drop into the water
All
of
right.
the roof, rather than drop onto the catwalk that's on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're gonna see that it's gonna be pretty comparable, and I
Is
think the metal roof is probably gonna be a lot better.
okay, I will do that.
I think there's a couple other options that we might be able to contact as well. So we can talk about that if we
Oakler.
want to table this. And Oakler,
They're out
and
of
there's a
Kingsford.
couple others.
Kingsford? All right.
They're big.
They do good work, they did the Catholic Church, and
Well, if we're going to hold off, table this, it's going to go past the July 1st date. We could possibly put out a request as well, just in case you miss somebody. We don't want
Yeah,
to miss somebody.
there was no really rush on this. It's just, we were getting to the end of this cycle. I had 15,000 in the budget, so I was gonna get it approved. But if we're all under Mark knows how bad it leaks. It's gotta get repaired. Do the best, figure out the best job
I just think that
we need to do.
the other options, within 2 weeks, I'm sure they would kick in
Okay,
a price, and then we could.
yeah, that's fine.
I know that we had replaced the roof on the horizontal section since I've been here. And I remember, I went back and looked at my notes, and I remember going through that process, and because of the pitch, because of the water, and all of the problems, we had a difficult time finding contractors willing to go out into that area. So it will limit smaller contractors that we typically think of for this, because of, like I said, the ocean and some of the other requirements. But the companies you're mentioning are big enough companies.
I mean, if we decide to go with a metal roof, I think there's some metal roofs down there. Isn't there one on the log building? And,
There's a metal roof on the log building, yes.
you know, maybe make sure that's the same color
Sure.
if we decide to go that way.
Okay, that's fine. When I get the information, I'll bring it back to you.
Okay, we'll then table this until another meeting. Last thing on the agenda for this evening is approval of Oak Crest Golf Course golf cart replacement. Mr. Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, this is something that was an evaluation done this past month based on the time of our budget cycle. I will say that this is not a budgeted item, however, this is something that, going through with our representatives, at the golf course, Our Golf Pro felt that we were losing revenues from cart rentals because of a couple of carts that were not reliable. We weren't able to put them out. So I looked at and I talked with Mary about where we're at with the fund coming into the end of the month, and we had enough room within the revenues that we're going to be over expenses for this fiscal year. And I felt that I wanted to come to you and seek approval to get 2 carts purchased this month. Now, as far as moving forward, we purchased a slug of carts. I say slug is a technical term, but a number of carts 5-6 years ago when Mr. Flank was still here. And the problem, that was a good thing. We needed to do that at that time. But the problem is that you get a large volume of the same vintage year, and then when your equipment replacement comes around, you have to deal with that volume again. And I talked with Ryan about getting into a cycle of 2 carts a year and get those dates rotating. It's been pretty consistent that carts cost about $4,000 a piece. Without the trade-in, we always deal with the trade-in aspect of that as well. So next year, we have 1 year remaining on a 5-year lease agreement that we have with Kurt's Equipment. So I did not program carts for next year, but if we run into the same situation in June, I'm going to come back probably looking at the same type. But if we don't, we do have it programmed in July. So then after that, I have that $8,000 each year moving forward. And then we'll be able to cycle the carts out on a regular 2 per year. I do, like I mentioned in the beginning of my conversation or report, that it is something that if we have unreliable carts, those are potential revenues for us because we rent those out when the golfers come in. And if we have carts that can't go out on the course, we're losing money. So I do think it's something that we have to keep up.
You had mentioned Kurt's leasing program.
Yes.
Is there carts out there that we lease?
We have looked at leasing options. We did that again when Fred went through his investigation. At the time, actually I had a proposal for leasing carts, and the council at that time thought it was better to own the carts. We did again look at leasing, but especially if you get into a good equipment replacement, I think that your trade-in values on the leasing is a much better, or on a purchase is a much better deal in the long run if you can afford to purchase and own and then trade in. Because if you look, the trade-in values actually of these 2 carts are pretty good comparatively speaking to what the value is out on the course.
When they typically lease carts, do they lease them like by the season, or do they lease them by the hour that's put on the cart?
They lease them by the season. You would lease them, and then they would come in and replace carts. The worst first.
Because I think it would be more feasible if it was leased by the hour that was put on the cart.
Right, but we haven't found those options. It's more of a lease to own type of thing, like your car, but it doesn't have the hours. It really looks a lot like purchasing. It's just you're dealing with it because of cash flow issues.
Because typical equipment is leased by the hour, construction equipment,
It is, but
by the running hour.
This is a little different case
Yeah.
because of the types of use that it gets. Again, in going through it, if we can afford to purchase, what we found in our investigation is that it's better in the long run to purchase out and replace on a trade-in. They do give us very attractive trade-in rates on these carts. If we wait too long, like we have with these 297s, of course the trade-in value is less, but it's still decent, like I said, relatively speaking to what we're getting out of them. When we looked at, we got some pricing for some of the newer models, and you're almost half getting your trade-in back. So it's really, if we can do this on a regular basis, I think we're in a better situation.
You said possibly buying 2 more in when? Next year?
A year and a month, 13 months from now. Next June, if our budget is in a similar situation to this, what it is today. If we have the room, we might look at coming ahead of time. I would rather get into a cycle of purchasing the carts in the spring to roll them out with the start of the golf season. But the way that our budget is set up with a July 1st start, you know, we don't have that option over this next 12 to 13 months. If we were to purchase next June, then I would request that we look at starting in April of the following year so that we would have them budgeted in that fiscal year and then keep on that cycle. So that's why we're recommending that way.
I'm right with the 97s. I know they're the oldest. Are they the ones in the worst shape?
They are the worst shape. I asked Ryan to go through all of his carts, give me a complete breakdown of the 18 carts in priority order, and those two are the worst. It just happens they're the oldest as well, so.
Yeah, I just
but
wanted
he
to
knew
make sure
that.
if we were going to trade them in, get rid of our worst ones.
Yeah, and that was our direction to him as well. Don't just look at the age. If it's giving you fits, if it could be, you know, something newer on the age-wise, but these are the two that he wanted to trade in.
I'm sure they keep a log on these, Ray, as to how many times they're rented out and everything now. But only 5 years, and they trade them in 5 years where they're not working that good? I mean, it doesn't seem like a very, very long lifespan.
Well, it depends on the hours, I think
Well-
what Mark was getting at, but, you know, these are quite a bit older than that, and,
Well, and lately,
Unless
the
it is
5-year
15 years
equipment,
old,
the 5-year equipment lease was for,
Oh, yeah, okay.
well,
yeah.
that was
Right,
for the
yeah.
field equipment, and that was a lease to buy, or a lease to
97s, okay,
own.
yeah, okay.
So, at next year, we completely own the equipment, it's basically like a loan.
we got 15 years out of those two
Yeah,
cars.
yeah, I see that, okay.
And I think that $800 trade-in's better than I expected on carts that'll.
Yeah, and I thought they were more expensive than 4,000 too.
Depends
So
how
the
flashy you want 'em.
total, so the total price, I see you got quantity 6, and there's 4,072.20. So that's the total price, 24,000? Because I was understanding
No,
that you
the
just
total-
said
no, the
that we were
total-
buying 2.
We're buying two.
Right.
The quantity is two at 3,900
Okay,
apiece.
it's on this other paper now.
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
And we have the two trade-ins, which I marked up. But you can see that on the 2002, it's up over $1,000.
Oh, you're just looking at BSA's quotation, that was for 6.
Oh, yes, yeah, that was for 6.
Yeah, it was on the page.
I went by
BSA.
a per cart.
So it's total of 7,800 less their trade-in value,
Yep, 6,300.
6,300.
63 is the
Yep.
total with the
Okay.
trade.
Okay, any other questions or comments? We're looking for a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the golf cart purchase from Meyer not to exceed $6,300.
Support.
Motion made by Mark, supported by Lee, roll call.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes,
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
that's our business for this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Does anyone from the audience wish to come up and address the council? If you do so, please come up to the podium. You'll have 5 minutes. State your name and address for the record.
Peter Hoppers, Curry Road. I was wondering if any of the roads are gonna get redone? I know our taxes keep going up and taxpayers don't have anything to show for it.
Well, like I mentioned during the budget hearings, the actual monies that are used for road improvements come out of the road fund, which is Act 51. It's a state monies that we collect. We're aggressively trying to maximize the use of those funds. The problem is that with the gas tax going down, we're receiving less and less of those funds in relation to the cost of maintaining what we have. We don't have those monies coming out of general fund to augment that, but we're trying to come up with a way that we can move some of the general fund monies into the road fund. Now, to answer your specific question, at this point, we do have a list of the roads worst first that we're going to try to address. You know, just to throw some numbers out, if we were to not reconstruct, but just do a mill and pave, which is just remove the top section of a road and you shape it and then repave it for one block, which is about 400 feet, would cost about $20,000. You know, so we have to look at, and that doesn't include the curb. Curb is about another $20,000 if you curbed both sides. That's what we're struggling with. If we do have $20,000, then we pick one block. You know, like yourself, up on Curry, you might not be up on that priority list. It might be somewhere, you know, nestled within the local streets. We don't.
We paid at 2 mills.
But that was for a bond issue, for $1 million bond issue that we had in, what year was that, Mary? That was 2008?
Yeah, I believe we're in the 5th year.
So that's a repayment of that $1 million bond issue. And what we did was we were fortunate to receive a number of grants for the pavement that you see on this section of town, mainly to do with sewer separation. And we use that as, you have a local match and an offsetting. And we returned close to 3 to 1 on our dollar, you know, for those funds, 3 or 4 to 1 on our dollar by doing it that way. So, you know, that was a decision that staff and council made to go after those grant funds. I'm constantly working the phone line to try and figure out how to...
To get a grant, you have to replace the sewers?
Well, it depends on the type of grant that you're going after. This particular grant focused on the sewer separation. You know, we were able to get their approval. Like this grant was through the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, and because we did work on the Main Street and we did sewer separation on the Main Street, all of the roads that we utilized this grant for beyond that had that sewer separation component to it. That particular grant option is no longer available. They have a different type of a program. The hardest grants to find are for local streets, the ones that basically we all care most about, the ones getting us to and from our house. So, you know, we're struggling with that. I'm talking with Lansing to try and, you know, get them to relook at the formula, because quite frankly, I don't believe the formula works. I don't think you would believe it works either, based on how much money's collected at the pump and then what's actually getting back to us to help you, you know. So unfortunately, that's the answer.
A lot of cities in the same boat.
We're all in the same boat. When we get together, that is probably our number one conversation, is infrastructure, specifically roads. And I think that's what gives people probably the biggest amount of heartache, you know, and headache is that they're not seeing the pavement going down. So we're trying to come up with some options that would help outside of just totally reconstructing the roads. But they're pricey now, you know, and that's where we're at.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else from the audience? Hey, Mayor and Council, Lee.
Nope, nothing.
Dr. Hayes.
Well, I'd like to comment on some of the proposals tonight. One was the 3% pay raise. When I came to the budget meeting, I was dead set against the 3% pay raise. Then I found out that it's in the contract that the people, the managerial people, have the same pay raise as the general employee. So I think that's something we had to vote for. I don't think we had an option on the 2 people who voted against it. I think if there would have been a 3rd person, we would have gotten into trouble. We would have had to make some legal dances. As far as the 2% electrical increase, I think passing along our increased costs of 2% to the customer still keeps the people in Norway at a lower rate, and I think we have to increase rates when our rates go up. And again, I don't think that that's a choice we had. I will say that over the years, the councils have always been very generous to the employees in the city, and that we've been willing to give 2% and 3% pay increases over the past several years. And now we're starting the next year contract negotiations, I can't see where there's going to be any pay increases. The cost of insurance and everything else have gone up so much that employees have actually been getting a very significant pay raise over the years, and so I think we're in austere times, and we're going to have to see that with the upcoming negotiations, and we can't go back on past negotiations. That's the comments I have.
Okay, thank you. Mark?
I wanted Ray to a little bit, I read the paperwork on the Vulcan Lake or Hanbury Lake. I've had some people ask me about that watercraft, gas engine watercraft. I just kind of wanted Ray to just touch base with it over the air, so some of these people that are asking questions on that will have a little bit of answers.
Yeah, the county, when the county developed the park and the boat launch, they decided to implement a restriction for no gas motors on Hanbury Lake. The official way to do it, because all bodies of water are actually owned by the state of Michigan and not by any single municipality, so the official way to do that is actually through a water control ordinance or order from the DNR. I did pass along the paperwork for moving in that direction. I talked with the DNR about that. There has been a number of concerned residents that want us to continue with that policy. Just to be clear, the way that it was handled through the county was that they set the rule that if you're going to launch your boat from their boat ramp, that you must comply with that or it would be dealt with as a trespass. We're looking at the same type of rule in the short term, but I think the right way to do it is to have open public hearing and solicit comments, especially from the users of the lake, for that policy. There are very strong voices, I think, at least on the no motor side. I have heard some on the opposite side, but not quite as many as for the no gas motors. I did contact the county to try and find out the background of that, see if they had any notes or history on how they came to that conclusion. They're still researching that because the individuals that were there are no longer there. But it's something that I did want to start the conversation and see how we wanted to handle it. Again, I do think that there's a number of people that want to see us move forward with something, but again, we always know that there's other people that would like to see it changed. So I do think that we're going to have some open dialogue, on the right direction.
Leonard Ball might be someone to talk to. I think he was on the county board when that park was put in place.
Yeah, we did talk at the Planning Commission about that issue, and Leonard did give some history from his recollection that it was based on an ecological issue of the cleanliness of the lake with gasoline in that lake, that there was some issues in how clean the lake was, and that's partly what they were, or maybe that was all of what they were looking at for the restriction. It wasn't so much a no wake, I think it was more of an environmental question. But under the public hearing situation with the DNR, because a majority of the lake is actually in the township and not the city, the township would actually have to hold the public hearing. And I asked Leonard to go back to his board and have that conversation with them, because we can't do that here. We would have to, we can only control the boat launch. We can't control the lake itself without the township wanting to as well. So that, again, that's going to have to be a conversation between the two boards and the two communities, the township and the city. So, is that?
Yeah, I had some people ask me about it, and I seen it was in here, so I just kind of wanted to touch base so people that watch would know what was going on.
We do get calls. There have been some people out with their motors, and when they do, we get calls. So, there are, like I said, there are a number of individuals that would like to keep it that way, and they definitely are putting some pressure on the office.
Is there any signage down on the boat landing to indicate that there's no motors?
Well, there was signage from county, but that is no longer up. So, you know, from our law enforcement standpoint, we have to actually decide how we want to handle that. If we want to do have a similar resolution or ordinance to put forward, then we can feel comfortable with putting those signs back up.
I think that might be a good way to start, is get that in place, then go for the water control. And work that, so we get that really in place, but if we put that for no trespassing, like this, yeah.
Well, we had one comment, it was a pretty interesting comment, from someone who said that, you know, they were out there with their electric trolling motor, which is typical of how it was handled in the past, and DNR boat came up with their, what do they got,
Yes.
60, 90? Yeah, to check them out. So it's like, you know, that didn't really sit well with them. So
Well, we
that's
should
the
notify the DNR that they're in trespass if they do it again. And
Right,
put up
but
the
right-
signage, I would think, I don't know if it takes them.
Right now, I think they know that the city hasn't come to that conclusion yet, so they probably, I haven't heard any reports of them doing that when the county was running Hanbury, so.
That's all
I
I
don't know if
got.
the rest of the council wants to make a resolution tonight, but I'd be willing to vote to make it a non-motorized until we get this further resolved and put up signage.
Jay, what would be the official protocol? Could a resolution do it, or is it the ordinance?
I think we could do it by resolution, yeah. And I think you ought to sit down and figure out the wording of it and bring it in for the next meeting. Or you can do it today.
A resolution is nothing more than a motion of the council, so if you have an idea, or just a
The rest
resolution.
of the council think, I'd be willing to vote tonight.
Can we make that resolution, being you said it had to go to the township to go the other way?
The resolution and the boat launch.
It's just for the boat launch.
We can do that ourselves. The actual water control craft order from the DNR, the public hearings would have to go through the township.
Basically, what we would do is if they had a gas motor on the boat launch, we could cite them for trespassing. We couldn't go out in the water and check them.
No, and if they came off of somebody's individual property,
Right.
they could do it.
They could, like that house that's down there, if they wanted to run a jet ski on there, they could go.
They could go and do it. If they want to drag it down there, they could go do it.
Until we get the water control order.
Right.
Does the rest of the council agree with that and making a resolution tonight?
Yeah, I don't see why we couldn't do that, Doc. No problem.
Let's make a motion to make that no gas motors off of our boat launch.
Yeah. I'll make that motion.
Jay wants to craft some up real quick.
No, that's fine.
I'll support.
Motion made by Dr. Hayes, supported by Lee, to make the Hanbury boat launch no gas motors. And make it a trespass to have a gas motor.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menigini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Yeah, this is, I think, what the county did previous to this, I think, if I recall. They had a sign out there, so.
We have copies of the sign.
Sure.
We can make it up so that it's from the city of Norway, and we can get that up. So now we have a directive, clear directives.
Chris?
Nothing.
The only comment I got is I'd like to congratulate the museum on their opening of the Odell House. It was a very nice event. They drew a pretty good-sized crowd for that. I was surprised how many people were out there for that. But it was a nice presentation. The city band did a concert. They had ice cream social tour of the Odell House and the museum. Thought it was overall a very nice event. I'd like to congratulate the museum on that. And that's the end of my comments. Staff comments. Joe? Anything?
No, I have nothing.
Mary? Tricia? Jane?
No, sir.
Ray?
Well, just one. Since you mentioned the open house, the museum, just want to encourage our residents to go out, check out the exhibits. I think their exhibit this year is for city band.
Music in general, but the
Music
city
in
band
general.
is, the city band is the focus.
And the Norway City Band is the oldest city band, continuously runs city band. I know in the state of Michigan, but some say the country. I don't know if that's true, but the Odell House is something to see, so go out and check it out. There's a lot of work put into that building.
Okay.
That's all I have.
We have no closed session this evening. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second?
Motion made by Mark, supported by Chris. Roll call.
Mr. Gotstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
I guess they could. The only thing we can do is they can say trespassing, for trespassing, I think.